I love entrepreneurship, man. And just like yourself, I've had failed businesses. And one of the things that I've had to learn is that through those failures, there's lessons to be learned. God is teaching us something,
Amen.
right? So we don't make the same mistake twice. And I
Yeah.
remember I was 27 years old and I did not want to close this cafe because I didn't want to look like a failure, right?
Mm.
Like, oh my God, what are my friends going to think? What is these people going to think? And it wasn't between me and them. It was between me and God. And it was a lesson that he was teaching me to, we talked about a little earlier, the opportunities that are presenting themselves now. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for those opportunities that I had to overcome, and be resilient, really about, I don't get here to this point, and I can imagine that there was some, my wife, just like your wife, thinks that we're a little crazy, right? Like, you want another business, another business. I've probably done this 3, 4 times now. At this
Yeah.
point, it's like normal. But I want to just ask you, because not a lot of people are going to take risk on themselves. And I want to say risk. Not a lot of people are going to sacrifice. Someone said risk the other day. I said, no, what we done is what we sacrifice. God has called us upon this. We have to show him that we believe. And a lot of
Amen.
times it is sacrificing time, family time, saying no to things that we really want to do, right? Um, that lead us to these opportunities, man. So I think over a year now, it's been a year that you've been practicing your doing your own thing.
Yeah, I started in January of 2024. So 21 months. Yeah.
So I ask you, how many times during that time did you feel like, why am I doing this?
Oh. Oh, all the time. Even now. Even now. Yeah.
I It's
100%.
hard. A lot of people don't, and it's not because we don't love what we do.
Right.
It's hard.
Right.
It
It
is
is.
not meant for everybody,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
And
funny you say that. So, how I got into the dry cleaning, if I may briefly, was
yeah.
because I realized that I was repeating patterns that my dad had done and that my mom had done. And I was setting my children up for kind of the same. My parents are great, but financially and as far as preparation for the future, there was some things there that needed to change.
Hmm.
And I was repeating the cycle. And when I realized that, I fell on my knees and I asked the Lord to teach me how to change this because I don't know how. And to make a long story short, eventually I read a book that talked about how to build wealth, you need excess cash, education, and experience. And at this point, I had education and I had excess cash. I didn't have experience. And I kid you not, like a month or two before I came across the dry cleaners, I was on my knees asking the Lord, how do I gain experience? Show me how I gain experience. And through a series of events, we eventually found ourselves to here. And so we ran this dry cleaners for 6 months. And I tell you what, I don't know that you could pay for such a good school of business than running this dry cleaners. And when you talk about developing resilience, 4 in the morning, stirring starch with water, stirring it before I go into work, formation in uniform. And I'm like, my shoulders on fire. It's because I got a whole bunch of issues there. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not for everybody. Like, I
Yeah.
thought this was easy, right? I thought this was you buy the business, you manage it, you make the money, and you go home. That's not what this is. And I still remember that moment when I feel sorry for myself. And I'm like, no, like, those are the moments that taught me resilience. Those are the moments that taught me adaptability. And at the end, I really do believe that, like you said, it was a part of a development process that the Lord has brought me through.
Yeah. We don't know it at that time, but you'd
No.
look back at it and you'd be like, oh, okay. I see what you did there, God. God do things in
Yeah.
mysterious ways, man. I truly do love it. And I
Yeah.
love that you're back at it again. And, y- one thing I've heard from another leader is he was in the business of software for 20 plus years. And as his mother-in-law passed away, she always hated his job. She said, you need to do something to help people. Why are you doing what you're doing? You got to find a job where you help people. And that's what you do. You're helping people. God uses us to really help people, man.
Yeah.
To really change people's, the way they live, the way they think, the way they see. And I'm happy that you've found this place, man, where you're helping people, ideally. And some may say you took the shortcut, but no, you already prepared for it because of what you've done in the past. So
Hmm.
paying your dues, you paid your dues, man. The 13 years in the military, the business background, the
Yeah.
failures. Come on, man. You paid your dues. Um, I do think that you're very. We talked about the whole podcast of what you would love to do, which I think you definitely should do more of. But I think you really have a strong respect on the healthcare systems and what America should actually be experiencing. So straight out of your mouth, you say you hate America's healthcare system.
I do.
When did that hatred turn into action for you? Is it coming out of the military? Like, when do you realize I need to do something about this?
Yeah, it was. So it started while I was still in the Army as a PA. So I was fresh PA at a PA school, and my unit, I was with a unit that was there with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I was not part of the withdrawal. I was still in school. So I got out. I graduated, and I'm seeing these soldiers, and a lot of these people were really hurt by what they saw overseas. And even though in the military you get free health care, these people were not being served the way they needed to. And so even in that time, I knew that my training did not allow me to spend the necessary time that some of these soldiers needed, right? Because a lot of them were being sent to me by mental health specialists in the area with instructions: go see your PA and get meds. That's what you need, is go get meds. So for the chief complaint, like, why are you here? Oh, I need meds. When there's a place for that, but these people, what they needed was someone they could talk to, someone they could share their experience with and be heard, right? Someone who understood, okay, the physical side of things, but also the mental and spiritual side of things. But there wasn't enough time for that because all the appointments are stacked on top of each other. So me and my medics started to host clinic later like I would do regular clinic, but then we would block off a period of time in the afternoon for some of the soldiers that they knew were struggling the most. So that was the beginning where I started to get a sense that, like, this is how it should be done, because this is how people get actually better. When I got out and I was back into this patient after patient after patient thing, and I had heard about the DPC model, I knew, like I'm telling you, I cannot, and I don't know if it's a weakness of mine. I'm going to be honest with you. I worry that maybe it is, but I cannot tolerate being in a situation where the patient feels that it's my responsibility to help them, and I have 5 minutes to make sure that they're taking their medications, refilling those, ordering labs, and sending them on their way, knowing that I've done very little to actually serve them. So once I was out of the Army in the traditional healthcare system, the fire was on me to get out of there ASAP.
So you were tired of the Burger King medicine, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
you say
and
that.
if I may, I think part of it too is, like, so a lot of people that get into healthcare, they get in when they're young, 19, 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
So I'm coming in after 13 years. I've done two rotations. I've spent so much time away from my family in training events. And I've spent so long doing things I don't want to do, right? Because I signed on the dotted line.
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse, getting out of the Army, I'm not about that anymore, because, you know, I'm free now. That's what the beard is for, is to prove that I am free, right? And so, yeah, I didn't want anybody telling me how this is supposed to be, especially when it's just for profits in the end.